Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women in Web3 podcast that inspire the stories of women who are shaping the future of technology. I'm your host, Kenneth Chu, and in each episode, we dive into the world of Web3 and explore the incredible work has been done by women in blockchain, NFT, metaverse, and much more. As someone who is passionate about diversity and inclusion in tech, I created this podcast to showcase the achievements and challenges of women who are making waves in the industry. Our goal is to inspire more women to get involved and help build a world that is more equitable and inclusive for everyone. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest for today's episode. Kema is a Web3 marketer, devoted business developer, and entrepreneur with extensive experience in blockchain gaming, FinTech, Asia-centric digital infrastructure, eager to drive businesses in a growth environment, strongly passionate about helping clients to elevate their life and hit new heights. Having lived in China for 10 years, she deeply understands West East cultural differences. It helps to navigate and guide businesses for easier access between the two sides. So I'm thrilled to have her on the show today and share her insights and experience with us. So it's my pleasure to welcome Kema Bae. Let me bring her up. Hello. Hi, Kema. Good to have
Hello,
you.
hello. Thank you for having me here, Kenneth.
Thank you so much. Finally, I've invited you onto the show, and thanks for accepting the invitation. And before we start, right, there is a tradition where every guest get to post the question of the day out to the next guest. So, are you ready to answer the question of the day posted by the previous guest before we officially start?
Yes, sure. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
so let me bring up the question of the day posted by the previous guest, which is what is that one personality trait that delivered repeated success to you? Okay, the question of the day
Mhm.
is what is that one personality trait that had delivered repeated success to you? Do you
Hmm.
need some time to think about it or you are ready with your answer?
I think I already have one,
Good, share with us.
but only one personality trait, not two.
Now you can
Well,
share more, yeah, but at least you share one.
well, there is something that really helped me going forward, and that is persistency. So consistency, I would say, something that even if you're doing something really not really productive, but you still keep going on and do not stop. Just keep going forward without like if you have one small effort done every day multiplied by 365 days, it's still going to matter something. It's not going to be zero. So this is something that really gave me and others power to push forward, because 1 year after you see yourself in the mirror on the back years and you see how much you've grown, this is something that pushes you even more. So consistency is something that I really treasure, not in myself but in all partners I've been working with. So yes, that's a good question, amazing question. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much for sharing your answer to the question of the day. And now we can officially kickstart with the show. And I totally agree with you. Like consistency, right, is one of the best entrepreneurial traits that we need to have. Like for my case, as you know, I run my podcast. I run the previous podcast consistently for 6 years, 120 episodes, and even for this Women in Web3 podcast, right, is also aimed to be consistent every week, every Wednesday, to really bring out and spotlighting amazing women in Web3 like you consistently so that everybody will know that in fact there are amazing women that is doing great work in this space. So maybe for those who are seeing you for the first time, I see some people are tuning in. Maybe you can say hi to them, and maybe they are some of your friends, so you can do a greeting to them.
Hi, thank you for joining.
That's
Don't
good.
hesitate to write some questions or comments. I would love to answer those as well.
Yes. So if you guys have any question, can always put in the chat, and then later on at the towards the end, I will be able to ask Kema your questions. So before we move further, right, Kema, for those who are seeing you for the first time, would you be able to do a short introduction of yourself, share with us what were you doing before before you come into this space of Web3, and maybe something unique. Where are you from and how you got started in Web3? Okay, over to you.
Sure, with pleasure. So I started my journey back in Russia. I was born in Russia, and at the age of 16, my parents sent me to China. Actually, that was my conscious choice because couple of years late before the university, I went to Germany, and I saw how interesting the world is outside of our country. So I wanted to explore more. And when we had a choice of me, going into any university, I wanted to go somewhere in Asia because I already knew how West looks like. And when I was 16, my parents sent me to China, which was really, really challenging for them and for me as well, because it was really long ago. It was 2011, I guess. Yes, it was 2011. And at that time, no application in internet and world, like communication with China particularly, was kind of complicated. The only thing you could do, you could just have a long distance calls with limited minutes on the cards. You had to actually scratch a card to call somebody. So it was really, really challenging. And that explains my Chinese level, how I can speak it. I graduated from university. I got my degree, and I stayed in China for 5 more years to learn and to explore the possibilities. I was working I was involved with petroleum industry. I was working with companies on behalf of Russian or Kim, with Sinopec and others. And then I was kind of bored because at my age of 24 at that time, I already reached the sea level, and it felt kind of boring. Work 9 to 5, and you already reached that ceiling, and you're sure like you're getting enough, but still you don't feel like you're accomplished. So this was something that made me leave the company, and I came back home to sit a bit, to think what I can do with my life. That's how I started learning Korean and engaging with Korean companies heavily. And during lockdown, I learned Korean by myself, and I actually made I passed the exam of Korean language on level 4 out of 6, and that was something kind of mind changing for me because I never knew that you can learn a language by yourself and then even do business in that language without any teacher, any tutor, just you and internet. And that really empowered me so much. So here I am. Now I'm in Web3. And how I started in Web3, it's actually happened by coincidence. My friend introduced me to one of the company's marketing agency, and I started as intern. And it was nothing like anything else before from my past experience. It was something new. I learned about blockchain and learned about Web3. I was making sense of industry, how it goes. It was really, really journey that I had to pull myself onto because I did not speak English at that time. And now, 3 years later, I find myself in Web3. I can now navigate between Web3 obstacles like what is DeFi, what is games, and now that I helped several companies to reach to the top of the Web3 ranking, I know for sure what it is, and I would be happy to help others to climb the same ladder, to show them opportunities of Web3, what they can achieve, especially women. I really think that we should be helping each other and supporting each other, so we could make this male-dominated space a bit more equal for us ourselves. So yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And I think this is the first time I hear your full story, right? Because the first time when we met over Zoom, we were like
Yeah.
chatting, you were like going eating very fast,
Mm,
right? And I would say the background, because I was saving it for now, so I can really share with everyone what was your background, where do you come from, how you get
mm.
started, and how you got into Web3. So just how you were sharing that you can speak a few languages, right? So you were saying you Russian definitely,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Russian, Chinese, which is
Hmm.
Mandarin, and then you speak
Hmm.
Korean
And
and English, four languages.
actually 5, but the
Yeah.
fifth language is my native, but nobody speaks that language, so I don't even count that one.
Oh. So native is what
The
language?
fifth language is Kalmyk, and it's
Mm.
old language that was used. It originated from Mongolian, but it's kind of different from them,
Mm.
and only elder generation of Kalmyks can speak it, because our people younger
Wow.
than me, like 25, 20, I mean, schoolers, they do
Mm.
not know even how to write, how to speak in that. This happened because of the
Mm.
globalization of Russian language, and I would be happy, really, to maybe to do campaign to
Promote that.
promote the language and culture, because I feel sad it's a dead language and nobody speaks about it. I would be happy.
In fact, I have one idea. I think later we can talk about it because in this space, like in Web3,
Mhm.
right, it's really amazing that you can use Web3 to really promote what you're passionate about, especially you talk about your culture, talking about the tradition and all that. Definitely, this will be a good
Mhm.
platform. And thanks for sharing that. I was thinking to ask you to maybe say hello to everyone in your 5 different languages, but I think let's save it for maybe behind the scenes, right? Like what we can do. So, in that case, before we even go into other questions, right? There is one question that I realized that I need to ask all my guests that's come onto this show, which is this question, and this question is coming from me personally. Which is why do you accept my invitation to be my guest on Women in Web3 podcast? Especially this podcast is being hosted by a man. Yeah, so I just want to hear from you and also all my guests. Like this is like the SOP, the standard procedure to really move on, and also to cure my curiosity, because when I invite you guys just agree, just say okay, kind of I'm on
Mhm.
board, right? So I didn't have the chance to really understand what was going on and why do you guys accepted an invitation from man who is running a podcast called Women in Web3.
Yeah, that was actually really interesting to see how you are running Women in Web3 podcast. I was expecting host to be a female, or you know, you just breaking the standards, and like you're breaking all the like molds in our minds. So
Yeah,
we've been connecting for some time on LinkedIn, and I was following your
yeah.
updates for some time, and
Oh,
I never actually. Um, I remember that I saw you promoting women and supporting women, and I saw that you are author of Mother Inter
industrialist.
yes. So
Yeah. I know it's hard. Even for me, the first time I was trying to say mother in what industrial list. So it's like industrial
industrial
then
list,
list. Yeah.
yes.
So
So I saw
yeah.
that, and I thought it's really controversial, because usually who promotes women are the women themselves. It's only us who only
Mm,
speaks about the inequality, like on the biases, on how not really fair the industry is, or bring up the issues of gender equality and everything else. But it
mm.
was really unusual to see to bringing those perspectives from you, and I wanted to learn more about that. And when you wrote me within like about the podcast, I thought that it's a great opportunity to show my gratitude towards your work, because I know that
Oh,
your
okay.
consistency doing the podcast is really something that needs to be pushed forward. And also, I wanted to share my maybe some insecurities. I wanted to open up some of the issues that are really bothering me in the industry. So I really believe that this is a good opportunity, not only to express my gratitude for your work, but also to maybe highlight some of the issues from female versus Web3 industries.
Mm. Wow. Well, I didn't know that you were observing on because I realized that you didn't really comment or you really like any of the post, but hearing from you is like you're watching, it's like observing, like what is this guy doing? Oh, he's doing writing a book about this. Oh, interesting. Like basically you got curious, right? That's why you went on, and then you when you came across my book, that's why you realized okay, interesting, and you put out this part, the point of
Yeah.
controversy. In fact I didn't really see myself as someone who's because to me it's natural, right? Because I've been working with mompreneurs, mothers, even especially a lot of
Mhm.
women in the past 14 years. To me, it's like my daily life. It's like my water, my
Mhm.
air. So it's so normal to me that I'm in this environment. I'm always in the female-dominated
Mhm.
environment. Even in advertising, media, sales, and marketing, most of my ex-bosses are all females. I work I report to female bosses, right? I'm like the only guy in the team, or one of the few guys in the whole
Mhm.
department. So to me, it's nothing new for me. And when you say that it's controversy, is that controversy? Because this is like day-to-day thing. But that also bring us right to the topic of this episode, right? Which is also another controversy, which is, did Web3 really disrupt the internet? And that is where, when you share this question on the form, I was like, okay, that's interesting. That I want to hear your side of the story, to this question. What would be your answer to it? Do you think that it has disrupted the internet, or Web3 has not disrupted the internet?
So yes, this topic is really something that um, I wanted to speak about. So well, here's a pitch. Web 1.0 was the first phase of World Wide Web as we know it, and it was the age of GeoCities and Netscape. And if you remember those bright blue hyperlinks on web pages, so web pages were
Yeah.
static, right? Interactions were really small, and you can only read. And the only thing you could do, like you could read and you could see content with added animations, GIFs, and it was pretty lame at that time. And that lasted not long. It's lasted till like middle of 2000s or something when Web2 came along. So suddenly now you can publish something not on website that is hosted by someone, but you like no longer need those people. You can publish something yourself on your own blogs or as updates or posts on social media. And while Web 1, like Web 1.0, it was open and kind of community driven. So you could react, you could read and react. On Web 2, even though you can publish something and you have your own pieces published, like your content, your pictures, your data is there, but there's a problem. Is dominated by a small number of big companies. So they have a troubling share of data in their hands, and the business model is so unsettling because it feels like it's a devil bargain, for your security, for your data, for your free access to services. And because you control the data, you cannot easily access it, and you cannot transfer it from one platform to another. And most importantly, that content does not make a penny for you, but it makes only those companies more rich. So in Web 2, we are the product. So Web 3. I believed before, I really believe that it's gonna bring, the equality and community-driven products in front. But if we go back to the 2021, the term was rediscovered by Silicon Valley's and became a buzzword of the moment, and mostly thankful to the VC venture Andreessen Horowitz. So they wrote a Twitter thread that really went viral. They said that Web3 is the internet owned by builders and users, orchestrated with tokens. And it's a new way that combines best aspects of previous internets. So it's really good idea, but at the same time, I see Web3 more of just a buzzword for hype. And if you look at the data back in 2021, 22, you will see a lot of capital going through Silicon Valley and even China related to the Web3 term. And it doesn't have to be a good thing. It's just a hype. It's hype that really attracted a lot of capital and attention, but I don't really believe that Web3 is disrupting internet. It's a new phase. It's a new maturity of internet. We are realizing our past mistakes in Web2, and we are going to Web3. So what I would say is, it's no matter how we think of Web1, Web2 versus Web3, Web10, if you like whatever you want to call it. um, I just think it's only a phase of our evolution that really never stops.
Wow, I think you just give us a master class of Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 in a very, very simplified way. And I totally love it. And like what you mentioned, right, when Web 1 was created in that manner, right? And Web 2 basically it has changed the whole thing where Web 1 was supposed to do. And Web 2 is
Mhm,
just what you mentioned, like the mistake that we have done. And then
mhm,
Web 3 is just to cover up or make back, right? to
Yeah.
maybe mitigate whatever that has happened in Web 2. And Web 3 is basically like the enhanced version of Web 1, right? And now
Yeah.
moving into Web 3, like I totally agree with you that on my own personal note is that Web3 is a buzzword, or what I mentioned, what I feel like is like a package, like a
Yeah.
promotion, like to sell to you that, okay, these are all in this Web3 package. In this Web3 package, there is AI, AR, VR,
Mm,
metaverse, like it's all packaged in this, and I call it Web3. But in fact,
mm,
all this technology, right, like metaverse, AI, VR, AI, it has been around for many, many years. It's just
yeah.
that it has been in the development and it's have not been surfaced up. And like what you say, Silicon Valley basically make it as a buzzword, name it. And recently I heard Web 4 is here and Web 5 is coming, right? So like you mentioned, right, Web 3, we haven't really touched on it, and people are using Web 4 as a marketing, you can say as a word of as a buzzword to really, okay, enough of Web 3, now Web 4, right? But what exactly is Web 4? And when I went in deeper into Web 4, what they say with Web 4 is basically it's just metaverse into 100% uh, running into the extended reality. So when I saw
Mm,
that Web 4 article, I was like, okay, this guy do not know what they are saying about Web. They do not know anything about Web 3, and they just come up in Web 4,
mm,
right? So I
mm.
think like what I totally agree with you that we really need to understand what exactly is the fundamental of Web3 and what Web3 is going to solve, the problem that Web3 is going to solve. And when you talk about like in Web3, right, what do you think is the most exciting development in Web3 right now? Like in your own space or what you have been in, because you have been in the space for a while. And oh
Mm.
yeah, the other thing is I saw that you has a new role, right? Like a CMO in this company. Maybe you
That's
can
right.
talk a bit about that, and then that will be the angle that where we'll be going. Is that all right?
Mhm. Yeah, sure, sure. I would happy to say about that. So I am a CMO at Maya. Maya is a Web3 game, and it's a Monopoly-like game. So what we did in that game is actually coming from Singapore.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
and this game has been developed for a year and a half in stealth, and it's been built from scratch. And what I like about it, it's Monopoly with both modes. So it's Monopoly when you don't have to learn rules how to play it.
Hmm.
So basically, you roll the dice and you let the NFT character do the rest for you, while you can have the passive income. So it's free play and play to earn, but at the same time, it's very well governed system, which not allows people to get addicted to it. So we
Hmm.
have a limited stamina rolls in the system. So it's
Hmm.
really, I think I like how it was very well thought, made with care about users, because sometimes you can get thrown away with game, you can
Yep.
get too excited, and there's something that prevents you from, being addicted to it. So as a CMO, I'm in charge of marketing activities, and also I help our investment department and partnerships. So we so far already closed more than 66 partnerships,
Wow.
and including Step In and KuCoin Chain. I'm really excited about that, and we really plan to launch our game in September
Wow.
on Apple Store. We already got approved by Apple company and
Wow.
App
Congrats.
and thank you, and Play Store by Google. So as we're targeting traditional casual gamers, we are not going to. We are having like big solid chunk of Web3 communities here, but
Hmm.
at the same time we want to allocate our resources to traditional gaming, like to the casual game boarders, like to those who love Candy Crush Saga, if you know the
Hmm.
game.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, that's my time, right?
Exactly. So yes, we want to target those people, and we want to make the earnings in crypto as easy as possible and
Hmm.
seamlessly integrated, so they don't even know that they're already in Web3. So this is main idea, and I would be happy to speak about that further. I even have the game on my phone.
Okay.
uh, I can share the link of like test flight for everybody who wants to try it out.
Also, now
uh,
is it available to trial or is already launched?
it's already launched on test flight, so we
Okay.
can open it on a phone,
Hmm.
only on Apple's phone, because we are afraid of copyright issues,
I
somebody
understand.
can copy the APK.
Yeah.
So we having only on mobile phones.
Yeah.
Basically, it looks pretty simple. It looks like this. I don't know if you can see this.
No, not really. A bit. Yeah.
So it is pretty easy, and you just need to roll the dice.
Ah,
And
okay, okay.
it's
So it's like a
playable.
board game but 3D. Okay,
That's right. And you
nice,
can decide whether to do or not some actions, and it
nice.
decides your like positive or negative outcome. And
Good.
it also has the single player and multiplayer. So that's why we address both markets, like those who like to play alone,
Mm.
those who like to compete. So yes.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, do share with us the link for our audience to really download from it. I can add on into the description so everybody can have a share of on the game. So thank you for sharing. And yeah. So what would you say would be the development, the most exciting, interesting development in Web3 right now, as you can see, because everybody is talking about um like NFT is dead, metaverse is dead, AI is up and coming. So what is your take on it?
Okay. It's like everybody says rock is dead, but it's not dead. Never.
Yeah.
So I believe that the most exciting developments in Web3 right now are the AI integration. I tried myself the AI integration in Unreal Engine 5 with AI generated NPCs who
Mm,
really can answer, and you can speak with them, and they give you answers so realistic that you start to just you have I myself I had existential crisis just by speaking with them because
mm,
they felt so real. I tried it on my computer. So you have main character, you speak with NPCs, like you walk on the New York streets,
mm,
you see somebody, you come to them and speak. I ask them question: do you know that
mm,
you are NPC in game environment?
mm.
And NPC came back to me saying like, what are you talking about? I'm a real person. I just had my
Wow.
coffee and breakfast. And I was thinking here, doubting myself, doubting my existence, because I also believe that I'm real. So I believe that AI generated content, AI generated NPCs, and everything that is powered by AI is going to
Mm,
be a really, really big highlight of the Web3 in future. I also would say that um, it also gives it's actually not really Web3. It's AI integration, like
mm,
new tech, but it's not connected to blockchain. It doesn't have to be on blockchain.
mm.
It's just a new phase of our evolution that goes steadily, but always.
So is it through text or is through voice?
Excuse me?
Like the question you were asking the NPC, was it through text or through voice?
You speak with them. So you
Oh,
have microphone. Yes, you
okay.
speak with them,
So you
and
can
they
hear
answer.
the voice.
And their voices are so realistic.
Oh my God.
Speak with emotions, mostly sad, sometimes aggressive,
Uh-uh.
sometimes amused by like, oh
Your
my
question.
god, I don't know what you're talking about. Like they have this emphasis on and stresses in their voices.
Wow.
It feels so realistic. I'm really recommending it like to you. I can also share the links after. It's really good.
So
Really
it
good
sounds
experience.
like you've been thrown away by this AI integration about it, and definitely, I think this is what everybody should know and know about. That all this exciting development, and if it can blow your mind and share with us, definitely this is something that we can check it out. So at the same time, when you talk about in the space, right? Because as a woman, as you also
Mhm.
mentioned, that is a very heavy dominated, male dominated environment and industry. So how do you navigate in this space? Because especially like what are the challenges that you face as a woman in Web3 industry, and how do you overcome it if you have any?
Yeah, this is actually one of the big topics I wanted to discuss. So there are a lot of gender biases in Web3 space because it's still male dominated, and there are also big issue which is lack of representation. So crypto and Web3 space has been really heavily male dominated, and it leads to biased assumptions about women women's interests and hobbies and abilities. So women are coming up, proving themselves as leaders and founders and even investors in the space, but it takes time. As every process, it takes time for people to acknowledge the problem. And I saw myself in a space that, let's say, I'm not getting, like, for myself, I'm not getting as much of a representation as, let's say, my male colleagues do. Or when there was actually funny situations when I was speaking with potential partner, and I had my intern, my assistant, next to me, and I spoke. It was a conference, and assistant wanted to, to break the ice and connect me with somebody he met, and partners somehow saw that I'm the assistant and my assistant is the CEO, and it was really funny. But it also,
So your intern is a male or
it
female?
was a male.
Your
Male.
intern. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It was really funny, and at the same time, it made me think about the representation and how to overcome all of those problems. So it really goes to, like, my personality is more of a smiley and friendly person, but sometimes, for the partnership agreements, you have to look tough, you have to smile less, you have to be more concise on points. So this is something that I took a note for myself. So when I speak about business, I do my best to be as professional as I can, and to project the energy here, not being as female, but being as a founder, as a CMO, or somebody else in space with a voice. So it really saddens me, because you cannot be authentic yourself. You have to, to firstly to prove your your power, or prove to your,
Ability, right?
yes, it is. It's not a problem, but it's just the challenge that is remains here. We need to maybe highlight. Maybe we need to prove our immense value somehow. So, or maybe we can rethink old biases and build more suitable and more, you know, equitable system for everybody, time by time. So the more women are going out and become, leaders and builders, the less of these biases will be staying with us, I believe.
Yeah. So Kema, you were saying like over at so where are you at right now? I mean, the country, which state are you at?
Mm,
That you were facing all these challenges like the biases and all that.
right now, I'm staying in Turkey, and soon I will be traveling.
Turkey is it?
Turkey, Istanbul.
Turkey is it? Okay. Yep.
Turkey, Istanbul, and this community is heavily influenced by the religion and local
Mm,
traditions. So obviously, you will be, as a woman, you will be having a lot of issues out there.
mm.
But soon I will be traveling, so hopefully my new country will be a
Are you
little bit
coming
more.
Singapore? Since you're working
No,
for a Singapore company, right?
probably I will, but not this September, but probably later I'm gonna drop by. Hopefully we
Okay,
can have a coffee offline,
definitely. Like in real life, right? You're gonna catch up.
inshallah.
Yeah. So for your just now you were mentioning like all these challenges, right? What would you think that um you can do, or what can we all do to mitigate this gender bias, or even have more representation? What would be your suggestion, or what ideas do you have?
Of
Hello,
representation. Can
maybe
you repeat?
having
I think I
yeah.
got cut for a second.
Okay, so my maybe let me just repeat the question again. So my question is, you were talking about the um, gender bias and all that part, right? And you're not there's not a lot of representation. So what do you think that we as a whole collective, right, we can do, or even like women in Web3, we can do
Mm,
to even mitigate this, or even to have more women representation, or we should have
mm,
more male allies so that we can see both sides of the coin, and
mm,
then we will be able to come up with solution together, so that we will be able to equalize and more have more equity on that, of especially for women. Yeah, what would you
Yeah.
say? What ideas do you have, or maybe you will encourage everyone to do, or maybe you will say, let's welcome more male allies to come and talk to us, and let's build a more balanced, more gender harmony or gender uh equal, like, right?
Mhm.
What would you suggest?
Yes. So while challenges still remain, I think that it's crucial for women to support each other and prove the value. And I'm happy to see communities like women-led communities out there, let's say World of Women or Women on in Web3. Those communities and DAOs, organizations that help us to be together, they are having the power to change the perspective. So even the collection that of Asian NFTs, this is something that also builds a brick into the understanding on how women can be also like in a space. So I believe that every one of us, as we are striving and pushing it forward, we can be small stones, that fall and bring the avalanche. And at some point, it will be really visible, and we could feel the results. If you know the story about 8th of March, Women Day, International Women
Yep.
Day. The story behind it was actually pretty cruel and sad, and women been pushing for it for years to get that recognition. But now it is there, and nobody's going to take it back. So I think it's for us also, a good opportunity for us to build something that will be resonating, not maybe with us, but maybe with our future generations, to make sure that women and men have equal opportunities and no biases attached to like to our gender. So yes, podcasts like yourself, communities like World of Women and DAOs, small events about women, like women-led communities, women-led firms, is something that's going to change the perspective for everybody.
Thank you so much for sharing all that, because when you're talking about all that, that reminds me of a friend of mine, which is also one of my previous guests, which is Nicole Yap from Asian. I do not know whether you know about her NFT.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, NFT is promoting Asian cultures and also representation of women,
Yeah.
right? Because all her NFT PFP is all women. I recently just gotten two PFP, and I was asking her that can I use that, because for her NFT PFP, right? We are allowed to use the images to create a brand. We have the IP and all that, which is wonderful. And soon you might be able to see the women in Web3 having some of the Asian
Mm-hmm.
NFT in it, as well as the branding. Yeah, because I find that it's really amazing. I can share with you offline. So talking about that, right? How would you? Because when I go for all these Web3 event, I realize that it's still very male dominated, and also there's not many women in that space, unless the women has been influenced by their spouse, their partner, or their male friends to get on board. But what would you say will be the, what do you call that? Like the barrel that is stopping women from coming into this space, or the what do you call that? The layers that has to be unfold for women to be able to come into this space, because it's very tech, it's very like the collectibles, which is very male driven. More male will like it. What would you say that like NFT or even the Web3? What can we do to attract more women on board, or like you mentioned, to maybe make um, the barrel of entry lower and make it seamless? What would you say is the thing that could encourage more women adopting or coming into this space, maybe owning an
Mm-hmm.
NFT, being a part of the metaverse, or maybe even be a part of the community? What would you say that we can
Mm-hmm.
help to lower down the
All
barrel?
right. So the barrier is not really the education. Uh, right now, when we have internet, open source institutions, like we have a lot of materials available, free and paid. So any women now have, like everyone has equal opportunities to get knowledge from internet. right? We can search through Wikipedia, we can get different books, we can learn a lot from internet. So I don't think education is a barrier for women to step into the space. And while all industries has been dominated by males, is primarily because women did not have access to education before. And now that we have the same level of, we can search up and do everything. Yeah,
Education, yeah.
I think the next barrier that lies like in front of us is work and life balance. So even
Mm,
before, even in old times, women have been the one who took care of families, raised children, cleaned the home and cooked the food, while men didn't have to do so. And
mm,
now that women are stepping into the space, they can, they need to fix the issue of work and life balance. So it's about setting boundaries, it's about the self-care, it's about sharing the responsibilities for the home or families, between both partners. So I think being really aware about your work and your personal life is really important. And maybe it's also issue not for women but also for men as well, because it's about the equality, it's about the responsibilities everywhere. So yeah, I would say work-life balance is one of the biggest barriers so far.
mm, I think when talk about that, right, that reminds me of like when I reflect onto my own family, my
Mm-hmm.
life, or my work life, right? Like I'm mostly working from home. I've been working from home since 8 years ago, and my wife had always like we have a 14-year-old daughter, and she has been busy with raising up the our daughter. But now the role has kind of switched because she found that she could thrive in the career, and because I'm always at home, I'm able to take care of the family stuff, even to pick up our daughter and things. So the role as me as a husband, as a father, right, has
Yeah.
changed. It became like the role have been reversed because, like you mentioned, women in the past are not given the education opportunity, but now most women, especially in developed countries, has that. It's only that we have still have a lot of developing country or emerging
Mm-hmm.
markets that women do not have that opportunity. But I would say that a lot of developing and developed country like Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, and all these countries, right? Women are getting that education. So, so I think the other thing that you mentioned is also the role and responsibility for every one of
Mm-hmm.
us. So we have to change, and you just point out that there are some maybe husband or even fathers would like to stay at home and take care of the kids and let their wife work, but because of the society norm,
Yeah.
right, that like if, especially in Asia, right, like men should be out there working and women should be at home. I think this stereotype and this labeling has to be stopped, because if you talk to Gen Z, they say, what is this, right? We should be more equal. There's no man or women, there's no this role, that
Mm-hmm.
role. These are all old stuff, right? Let's throw this aside. I think this is the world that we are moving in. And also, like I was asking a lot of my friends in the past, right? You don't see fathers kissing goodbye to their kids,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? But now you see fathers are doing that, kissing their the children to school, or even hugging them. You don't see that. I was not born in that time that my dad will kiss me goodbye or give me a hug,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't ever, right? But now it's different. Like I kissed my daughter when she was young, and now we hug. But I think it's different. Things have changed. So I think the mentality, even for gender equality or even gender balance, right? I think it has to start changing. The roles has to start changing because all of us are given the equal rights and equal opportunity. And I would say women in Web3, right, is why I started women in Web3, because I see that Web3 women can have a fair share in it. Like you, like a lot of my guests that's appearing onto the show, they are thriving in this space. Some of them are even more savvy, more knowledgeable than the guys in tech, right? Even the CTO and all that stuff. But I would say that it's time for women to step up, women to really embrace this. And definitely it takes time, right? Because education takes about 10 over years to really become a programmer, become an engineer, become into IT. But I think, like you mentioned, there's education part we don't have to worry. It's where we need to expose or even open up the opportunity that's out there for women to embrace tech or even use tech. And now with AI, right, there's so many things you can do. You don't have to learn tech to do
Yeah.
tech, right? You can always use AI to do that. You can always hire a team. You can always gather the team. And that's why I like the part about female founder, right? Like for you, you're also a female founder, and you don't have to use the tech, but you are able to get people
Mhm.
together, because Web3 is about community building. Yeah, so this is the thing I think we could all do. Because let's stop all this saying that you do not have this
Mm.
opportunity. Just put yourself out there, open, and definitely we will be able to see more women rising up like you, embracing tech, learning about tech. It's about whether you see the reason to connect into your daily life, like you talk about work-life balance. So thanks a lot for sharing that, and I think you have touched on a very strong point. So maybe time has really flies, right? No, maybe you can share with us, what do you see the role of women in Web3 playing in shaping the future of business and society?
I think that great question, by the way. I think that Women in Web3 as a podcast can really bring some voices from behind of women into the spotlight of the communities, because nothing stays unnoticed, nothing stays powerless. And even small efforts, even let's say just one comment, one like under everything that is supporting it, is going to bring a big, as I mentioned, avalanche from the mountains. So I believe that Women in Web3 is going to be a leading podcast to get the women's voices heard. And this is something that is really important, because let's say articles and PR about women doesn't do much. Nobody reads a lot of that pieces. But let's say when people hear voices with their authentic stories and experience behind, it actually can touch people and bring the issues to the front. And now that we have those issues in post, we can finally solve them. So I believe that Women in Web3 is going to be really leading the women empowerment movement here in Web3. Maybe not in 3, maybe even at the whole new level of internet in future. Let's not limit us with just
Yep,
Web3.
of course. Yeah, because like you mentioned, right, Web3 is just the beginning, because that's where women see a lot of opportunity, and women will be able to be given a lot of opportunity, because it's a new phase of the internet. It's a new technology that allows diversity and inclusion, and also equity. And I think there's something that you talk about, like women in Web3 is just the beginning, and in fact there are also other areas. Like recently the Barbie movie has also crowned the first billion female
Mm-hmm.
director. I think this is, I think we should cheer about it, we should applaud about it, because finally it's being seen, right? And there's a lot of female representation, like Michelle Yeoh did a fantastic job, like really make a lot of Asian proud, especially Malaysian, really proud.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of even the gentleman that he was with her in the movie that they won Oscar. So like he
Mm-hmm.
also done a lot of us very proud, because we are finally seeing an Asian man being recognized in Oscar and all his work. And he is a very good, inspiring role model for all of us to really model, because he had worked so hard, like from a child actor until an adult actor. He was nothing at all, and just one
Mm-hmm.
chance, one opportunity, right? As Asian supporting Asian, to really make the film work, which really blow all the Westerner mind, right? So I think this is something that we have to do. We have to take risks. I think it's time for all of us to step up, even for you, for me, for all the guests in Women in Web3, for women to step up as on the whole level, right? Um, Now we have so many people that are trailblazing that open up this path. I think it's time for us to really move forward, thrive, and really create a whole new world that is more harmonized, that is more equitable, that is more diverse and inclusive for everyone. So thanks a lot for sharing on your part on how you see the role of shaping the future of business for the women in Web3. So for your case, what advice would you give to women who are interested in pursuing a career? Like for yourself, right? You were given the opportunity in the marketing agency. That's where you were exposed to all this blockchain, crypto, gaming, and stuff. So advice would you give to women who are interested or even get the first step into Web3?
That's a nice question. So advice for women to step up in the space, I would say keep moving forward, because only when you keep going, you can be more persevere. You can get the perseverance, and that builds character, and character builds everything. So, as Dalai Lama also said, beware of your thoughts, because your thoughts become actions. Actions become your character. And I really do believe that women, just the only advice I can give is just to keep doing, keep believing, and pushing forward, because it pays off in the end. And if you need any advice, or let's say if a woman needs support, there are always going to be communities. Even this podcast is going to, to share and give all needed support, and maybe even insights on how to do it, maybe even advisory, or um, you know anything that needs for women. So support and nourish their their work. So yes, I believe that the only
Mm,
idea, the only advice I have in my mind is just only to keep going, because there's if you stay
good.
here,
Like
you
you,
never.
right? Like you are just keep on
Yeah.
going, right? You just amaze me every time you have a new role, and you're definitely a good CMO because you're just promoted my podcast, like really to market because like okay then I would say the number one advice is to reach out to you, right, to all the women guests in Women in Web3 podcast, because they are so warm-hearted. They agree to be on my podcast because they believe in my vision of creating a platform to really spotlight on women and really to inspire more women. So definitely reach out to Kema. So having said that, how can they get connected with you, Kema?
The only way to connect, I would say, is on the LinkedIn, because Telegram is there are some scams, and I don't
Hmm.
know, not real accounts of myself. So I would say LinkedIn is the
Oh,
only
okay.
one way to connect, and only a secure way to connect, because let's say Telegram could be compromised, Instagram could be compromised, email, WhatsApp. So just write me a message on LinkedIn. I will be happy to catch up.
Yes. So for those who are seeing, there's a ticker below. You can connect with her, with Kema on LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/linkedin Kema
Emma.
dash Bay. Right. Okay. So once again, thank you very much. And before we end, right now is your turn, right, for you to share with us what will be your question of the day for the next guest. So are you ready with that, or you need some time to think about
Hmm.
it?
I need to think about it, because um, I actually have an idea,
Hmm.
but it's not.
You can just put it
Yeah,
up.
it's not just only a question. It's more of a call to action. So the
Hmm.
question is, what can you do to
Hmm.
shape women in Web3 industry?
In Web3
Because
industry.
I believe in
Okay.
actions more than just words. I believe that
Of course, of
this is
course.
going, like, if somebody thinks what I can do instead of what I can think, it's going to move us even faster.
Yep, yep, definitely. I totally agree with you because for my case, right, in anything I do, right, I also believe in taking action because to be frank, I hear a lot. a lot of discussion, a lot of panel discussion, a lot of talk, but I don't see any action. And that's why for me, like you say, how to shape, right? Like we having women in Web3 podcast is one way to shape women in
Mhm.
Web3. So definitely this is a good question and I love it so much. Let me just post the question out to everyone. All right. So Kema's question to the next guest is, what can you do to shape women in Web3 industry? Right? It's a
That is
question.
right.
All right. Yeah. So this question go out to the next guest, and I believe that the next guest will be able to answer it. So once again, thanks, Kema, for sharing with us all the amazing things that we talk about. The topic, which is whether Web3 is disrupting the internet, and Kema has shared her answer with all of us. And also for those who are interested in more of Web3 stuff, you can check out every Wednesday on Women Changemaker Network page, or any of the social media I've attached in the description. You guys can get connected. And for those who want to get connected with Kema, you can always connect with her on LinkedIn. That is the best and secured way. Definitely you'll be able to see more of her. And without further ado, let's thank Kema for coming onto the show, giving so much wisdom, insights about the industry, even a short and quick masterclass about Web3. So once again, thanks, Kema, for it. And so for those who are tuning in, thank you for watching and listening to Women in Web3 podcast that really spotlight the women that is doing amazing work in metaverse, blockchain, NFT, and many more in Web3 especially. So it will happen every Wednesday. And once again, thanks, Kema, for coming onto my show. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you so much for
Kema.
having me here.